Hi everyone, my name's Ellie and welcome to your weekly theatre news recap. The series where I try and gather all of the week's news into one big blast to make sure you stay up to date with UK theatre. This week we saw a lot of big casting news, so many shows extending their West End runs, and some very exciting tours, so let's dive straight into it. But if you want to stay up to date with UK theatre, make sure you hit like on this video and subscribe so you don't miss a single one of these videos. But let's start with our big casting news this week, because we saw a lot of productions announce their full casts. First up, we have a play that's heading to the Theatre Royal Haymarket, The Accidental Death of an Anarchist, where we saw the announcement of their additional cast members. We have the previously announced Daniel Rigby, who reprises his role as the Maniac, and Tony Gardner as Superintendent Curry. But now we have the further casting news of Tom Andrews as Detective Daisy, Mark Hadfield as Inspector Burton, Ro Kumar as Agent Joseph, Ruby Thomas as Fee Phelan and PC Jackson, and the understudies for this production, Joe Boylan, Georgina Helia, and Richard Hodder. This play is transferring from the Lyric Hammersmith, where it had a very successful run earlier this year, and had a lot of people talking, so I'm really excited to see it hit the West End later this month. Next up, we got the lead casting announcement for the Death Note concert. Last week we discussed that this concert will be going to the London Palladium, and has actually already sold out by the time I'm filming this video. So it's gonna be very interesting to see what comes next. Will we see an extension, another date added to the concert, maybe a matinee, as we've seen with some other concerts that have sold their performances very quickly? And I think that this very speedy selling out is already a sign that a Death Note musical has a strong place in London. And this lead casting is extremely exciting and sees some very big names from West End theatre. So we have Dean John Wilson as L, Joaquin Pedro Valdez as Light, and Frances Malin McCann as Misa. Now, I did miss out on getting my Death Note tickets, and if they announce a matinee performance, I will be going and I will be snatching up those tickets like that. But for the people who've got their tickets, this casting is very exciting. Obviously, Frances Malin McCann is near and dear to my heart. Starred very recently as Bonnie in Bonnie and Clyde. And, funnily enough, this isn't even the only piece of casting news that features Joaquin in it this week. So, it's a good week for that guy. Let me know if you've managed to grab yourself tickets to the Death Note musical. I'm really interested to see what the response is from this concert. And the fact that it's already had such a strong start is a very good sign. Next up in casting, and specifically casting Joaquin Pedro Valdez, we have the full cast list for Then, Now and Next, a brand new musical written by John Robbins, who's currently the Phantom in Phantom of the Opera, and Christopher John Orton. This production is going to be opening at the Southwark Playhouse Borough at the end of this month. And we now know that Tori Allen Martin, Justin Brett, Peter Hanna, and Joaquin Pedro Valdez, will be joining the previously announced Alice Fern. Now, it is always exciting to see new musicals hit the scene, and with a cast like this is very exciting. I mean, I am a massive Alice Fern fan because Come From Away, if you were in Come From Away, I immediately and instantly love you. I don't make the rules, I just enforce them. So I'm really excited to see this musical show itself, and this musical is actually going to be performing at West End Live next weekend. So if you want a little sneak peek before the show opens, make sure you check it out there. Let's move on to the multitudes of shows that announced extensions this week. This was a very good week for extending your runs, as we saw about 5 shows announce this. We have Rose, which just recently opened at the Ambassadors Theatre, which has announced 2 additional performances, Saturday matinees on the 10th and the 17th of June. Groundhog Day the Musical has announced an additional week onto their run at the Old Vic. Operation Mincemeat, the amazing musical that you need to go and see right now, has extended for another 5 weeks, and come on, just give them an open-ended run at this point. They deserve it. If you can't tell, I'm starting to do these getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Next up, we have Back to the Future, which is extended all the way to February 2024. And finally, Matilda, which is very confident extending to December 2024. I think this is all really exciting. There's more chances to see Groundhog Day. I know there's only a few chances to see Rose, but it's got some really strong reviews, and I'm going to try and see if I can check it out on one of those matinees. But out of all of these, Operation Mincemeat extending is the most exciting one for me. Giving people more of a chance to see and fall in love with this musical is perfect, especially as it's running through the summer. Next up we have some news from the Newsboys over at Newsies as they announced their final Fansy Night. This will be happening to celebrate their 200th performance on the 19th of July. This special performance would include a post-show Q&A, 10% off merch, a costume competition, and special edition posters for you to purchase and enjoy. Now, I'm hoping to try and catch Newsies one last time before it closes. So maybe this will be the thing that kicks me to go and book another ticket. I always think these special shows, like they did with Bonnie and Clyde and such, these are really, really fun, especially for younger theatre fans. So if you're a fan of Newsies, make sure that you're going to that date. And finally, let's look at some new production and tours that have been announced this week. First of all, they did it. They announced it. They gave us the dates. Come From Away, my favourite musical of all time. It's on my back wall. I love it. It's the best thing you will ever see. Has finally announced all of their touring dates. As previously announced, they're going to be opening at Leicester Curve in March 2024 and moving on to Liverpool, Cardiff, Plymouth, Southampton, Oxford, Leeds, Birmingham, Hull, Belfast, Ipswich, Newcastle, Bristol, Aberdeen, Edinburgh, Glasgow, Nottingham, Wimbledon, Norwich, Milton Keynes and Salford. Now, something interesting to note from this announcement is that the creative team is still the same from the West End run. When they announced that it was going to Leicester Curve, they stamped it with the typical made at curve that they do on all of their homegrown projects. So a lot of us were a little bit confused whether they were going to be reworking the show or doing a new production. It seems like they're going to be going and sticking with the original West End and Broadway staging. Whether this includes a revolve, we are yet to see. As it's very rare we see these shorter run touring shows touring with a revolve. Either way, I cannot wait for this musical to come back and to be touring the UK. I'm going to be trying to go to as many of these touring stops as I can. I want to be there at Leicester Curve when it opens. Watch me go to Scotland for Come From Away. I'll do it. I'll do it! Next up, I wanted to shed some light on a smaller show that's going to be opening very soon. And you'll see why as I describe it, why I'm talking about this. But there is a new play called Transparency going on a UK tour very soon. This is going to Manchester, Salford, and is playing at the Camden in London in August. This one-man play surrounds a transgender man as we look through his everyday life and the brutal, honest lens of a northern working class family. I'm going to be trying to catch this show in Camden as long as I can, fingers crossed. And I wanted to shed some light on it today because, you know, although we are starting to see more trans representation in the West End, it's actually these smaller shows, these fringe shows, these off-West End shows that are bringing trans voices to the front of the stage and to the forefront of our theatre. So if you have the ability to, try and check this out. And finally, the biggest news of this week. We have a brand new musical heading to At Soho Place. The world premiere of a new British musical, The Little Big Things, which is based on the best-selling memoir by Henry Fraser, will be heading to At Soho Place this September. It's directed by Luke Shepherd, who has also directed And Juliet and My Sons Are Queer. So he is no stranger to directing new British West End musicals. This musical features music by Nick Butcher, lyrics by Nick Butcher and Tom Ling, and a book by Joel White. This production's running until the 25th of November 2023. And I must say, it's always so cool when you see announcements like this. New British musicals. We see a lot of transfers, a lot of revivals coming to the West End. And it's always so fresh and interesting when a new British musical comes. I think that's why it's so thrilling that we have Operation Mincemeat doing so well in the West End, because we don't often see these success stories come up. Especially when you compare it to something like Broadway, which feels like it's constantly got brand new original musicals. I'm very excited to try and catch this musical. Hopefully it'll be my first visit to At Soho Place. So those are our biggest news stories of the week. What story most excites you? What shows would you like to go and see? And what do you think of the news this week? Let me know all of your thoughts in the comments down below. If you did enjoy this video, please consider hitting like and subscribe. It really helps me out, it helps out the channel. There's some links to some other videos on the screen right now, and a link to my Instagram if you want to drop me a follow over there. But that's it for me today, and I hope to see you next time. Bye!